And we've had competing headlines. Earlier in the day, we had a headline saying essentially that Saudi was prepared to cut, and that took market participants a bit off guard because everyone thought it was going to be a freeze. And then we had a wire service story essentially saying some unnamed Saudi officials that don't expect anything in Algiers next week. I mean, my view is they're putting a lot of advanced work into trying to get this thing done in a way they weren't before Doha. You have the Saudis, you have the Iranians, everybody needs the money. The question is, can you just bridge the gap in the short amount of time?
So even if they do, what are we talking about getting done? Freezing at these levels or potentially even cutting?
Well, that kind of shocked us a little bit, the Saudi introduction of the cut. I mean, the Saudis produced at a historic high this summer. They tend to trend lower going into fall. So it kind of works for them to say we won't produce at the levels of the summer. The Iranians, it's going to be the big question. Where do you assign their freeze number? The Saudis say we want you to use secondary sources. The Iranians are like, let us use our own numbers to freeze. So it's really getting down to minute details to get the Iranians on board.
What's your base case? Because OPEC really hasn't done anything in a very long time.
Well, they haven't actually done anything since 2008, but the pain has not been so great in a long time. I mean, the Saudis have burned $200 billion in FX reserves since the oil price declined. All these countries want higher prices. Nobody wants to be back in the 30s. So I think the odds are greater this time than they were going into Doha in the last couple OPEC meetings.
I think of OPEC and the Fed as separated at birth. I've heard the same, sort of arguments forever, and they don't do anything.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, going into Doha in April, the Iranians were very clear. They weren't showing up. So that really shouldn't have surprised us. And Mohammed bin Salman, Mr. Everything of Saudi Arabia, the deputy crown prince, said he wasn't going to do anything unless the Iranians complied. So we shouldn't have had any expectation of a deal. This time, the rhetoric, at least, has been much better. And I would argue the economic circumstances are tougher now than they were in April.
So we're looking at a price now below $45 on WTI. Stays in this range of sort of 40 to 50. We're still higher on the week.
Yes.
What is priced in at this point?
I think no one, if you look at analyst surveys, people expect nothing to get done. It's out of consensus to say you expect even a freeze at this point. So I think if we do get a freeze next week, or even a constructive framework, we're going to talk about it some more, that will provide support to oil. Because right now everyone thinks that they are, basically dead on arrival.
Support to oil where?
If we get a freeze, I think we're up a couple dollars. If we basically get some constructive statement, maybe a buck or two.
That's like the natural trading range for oil, just on some headlines here, as opposed to real tangible decisions by OPEC.
The question is going forward. Then we're going to a November 30th OPEC meeting. Do you essentially change sentiment in this market right now? Because sentiment is we're oversupplied and OPEC has no pulse. And so I do think if we get something out of them, we'll move higher.
Where are we in the U.S. energy sector, and how are the companies doing? We're seeing these surprise drawdowns in inventories this week again.
Yes.
And the rig counts.
I mean, the rig count was up this week. I mean, what is the headwind for oil? I think really you should be watching is U.S. production. I mean, I think that is a variable that everyone is trying to handicap. How fast can the U.S. come back on in a $50 price environment?
Hey CNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Here you're going to find videos packed with all of the information that you need to be smarter about your finances. You can subscribe by clicking right here and click on all the videos around me or the eye right here to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.